This is it right here.
Combining a team of reporters, columnists, and commentators.
Don't you ever talk about me!
Are you serious?
Jack Ebling has brought thought-provoking discussion.
What are you doing?
That's a damn coaching mistake!
Opinion.
The customer is the one who decides when the future gets here.
Oh, no!
The ship is on fire!
You have to check the report.
Are you kidding me?
That game was fixed.
And overall infotainment.
I'll take Jim Harbaugh.
What has he done?
Crazy cootie coming at you.
Quiet, please. In exactly 15 seconds, we'll be on the air.
Thanks, big fella.
Don't you ever come back here again.
No arguments. Those are called ass tuners.
So buckle up.
You talking to me?
It's time for The Drive with Jack Ebling.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Great afternoon, Mid-Michigan and beyond, and welcome to The Drive with Jack, the Spotlight Radio Network. Jack Ebling here with my producer, Boston Rob, in studio today. Beautiful Spotlight facilities at 105 West Allegan. 73 degrees and cloudy as we get ready for another big Mid-Michigan sports weekend. Many of you, I'm sure, saw the United States fall last night in the World Cup. Didn't really matter. U.S. moving on to the knockout round. Detroit Tigers lost again. Time to the Houston Astros, 2-1. We have the NHL draft this weekend, Rob. Just finished the NBA draft and Moneyball in full swing at Holt High School. It's our Meet the Spartans installments. And we want to start with a member of the East Coast contingent, a guy who turned a lot of heads this week, Julius Avent. Julius, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. Sitting down for now.
Welcome back to the show. You made quite an impression the first time you were on with us, and you did the same thing last night. For a guy who only got here June 9th, you seem like you've been around for a while.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, just got here June 9th. Yesterday had a good game. Won.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Has this been exactly what you thought, mostly what you thought, and is there one thing that has surprised you being here?
Being here so far, I mean, for the most part, yeah, it's what I thought, what I expected. You know, you hear the advice given to you before coming here.
Right.
And so on. But what I would say is just maybe how much we run. And, that's why we're, probably one of the best conditioned teams.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what I would say.
You'll appreciate that when you're on the wing and you're getting alley-oop feeds from Jeremy Fierce Jr. and C.J. Medlock.
Yeah, for sure.
So, based on your brief time here, what about the reception you have received from the coaches, from your teammates, and a heralded freshman class, and from the fans? You're becoming kind of a fan favorite over at Holt High School.
Really, yeah. I mean, what I've been getting from my teammates, everything's been great, learning from the older guys, Jeremy, Cohen, even Kerr, Jesse. As far as, the freshmen that came in with me, we got a good camaraderie already, just hanging out, talking, bonding, stuff like that. And with the coaching staff, it's great. Talking with the coaches, spending time with them, putting extra work in the gym as well. So, yeah.
Let's start with the coaches, Julius. Are you used to being coached hard? Did you have that in high school?
Yeah. I'm used to being coached hard. My U coach, Donovan Jones, was pretty hard. Coach Billy at Bergen, you could say he's kind of like, he pushes you hard, but he doesn't yell too much. But he definitely pushes you hard as far as practice and stuff like that, and he can definitely go there. So I would say him as well.
But you know that with Tom Izzo, he is going to drive you to make you the best you can be.
Mm-hmm.
And the only time you have to worry is if he isn't coaching you.
Yeah.
What about your teammates? Did you know the other three freshmen well? I know that you had a chance to play the same circuit with them, but in terms of getting to know who they were, did you have a pretty good idea who the other freshmen were?
I didn't know Carlos as much or Ethan, but I knew Josiah before coming here. We played together 16U at PSA, so I knew him for a few years now. And that was mainly like the only one. You know, we texted here and there, talked. So, yeah, I knew him for a little bit. I
want to talk about your background. And you have a basketball name, Julius, right?
Yeah, Julius Irvin.
Yeah. And, of course, your dad, I had the opportunity to watch him nearly win a national championship. Probably should have. I'm sure he's told you the story or you've seen the game many times of that championship matchup with Michigan, right?
Yeah, definitely seen it.
Yeah.
I heard it.
Yeah, and foul call. Sometimes players want foul calls, and sometimes they kind of come out of nowhere. And that was one that, in an overtime game, made all the difference in the world. But having that kind of pedigree, Julius, and having that last name, okay, you have to represent the Avents in basketball. Is that extra pressure for you, or do you like that?
I wouldn't say it's like extra pressure. I like it, you know, coming from the, family pedigree that we have.
Yeah.
Just carrying that on, learning from one of the best, learning from my dad. So, like, that's just, I would say it's good pressure. Yeah.
What's the one thing that you have taken from your dad, either physically or mentally, psychologically? In what way are you most like him?
What way I'm most like him? I'd probably say, I guess you could say a little bit physically, but also, because like we're close in height, but I would maybe like the mentality, being more of like a person who's always in the gym now and just like ready to work, I would say.
Was your mom an athlete, and what did she contribute to who you are today?
My mom is not an athlete, but she contributed a lot, always helping me, whether it was like with school, making sure I have a meal on my plate at night, breakfast, anything, being able to take me to games, just always being there for me. So definitely my mom helped a lot, for sure.
If you weren't,
she's the one that got me set up in my apartment out here.
Oh, there you go. That's very important. That's a mommy thing to do. If you weren't playing basketball, if you didn't have that desire or those genes, what would Julius Avent be today?
What would I be today? I would say maybe something like with technology. Maybe be like engineering or something. I know it's hard to think about, but yeah, I'd probably say something like that. Maybe like sports analyst. Who knows?
What do you like to do when you're away from the game? And I don't mean playing, NBA, 2K, whatever it is. What do you like to do to unwind, relax?
To unwind and relax, I like to chill, hang out with family, friends, watch TV, just regular stuff. Also, I like to play video games, so I'll do that mainly while I'm just on my free time, chilling, resting up. So yeah.
How much time did you spend watching the NBA playoffs? Did you watch every second you could? Did you watch most of it, or was it just kind of there for you?
I watched, honestly, most of it. Mainly gain all of the series because, the games will come on after each day. So, yeah, I mainly watched all the games, to be honest, unless, I had, a workout during that time or, something was going on. So, but for the most part, I watched the playoffs, yeah.
Were you surprised what the Knicks were able to do with all those comebacks?
Oh, yeah, for sure, being surprised. But at the same time, Spurs made a lot of mistakes at the end that cost them the game. Yeah. Literally every game that the Knicks won except for maybe one of them, but yeah.
So growing up, did you have a particular allegiance to one team?
Yes, I did actually. I was actually a heavy New York Knicks fan because one of my favorite players, Carmelo. Well, my favorite player is Carmelo Anthony. So growing up, watching them, I was always, watch every Knicks game on MSG Network, 7:30, 8:30, whatever time. Turn that on, watch that with my grandma maybe or like whoever. And but after he left, maybe like 2 years later, it just wasn't as fun to like really watch them and just yeah. But I can't jump back on ship because I'll be a bandwagon. So cool.
Do you know the story about Carmelo Anthony and Michigan State? You probably don't.
Probably not. No.
Okay.
No.
It was his freshman year, and he was only at Syracuse for 1 year, maybe one of the greatest freshman years of all time, leading the Orange to a championship. But it came into Breslin Center for a matchup against Michigan State, and he couldn't miss that day. And a tremendous game. It went down to the wire and beyond. And I think he had 9 threes in that game, and Syracuse prevailed. So that's a challenge for you. When you get 9 threes, you can let Carmelo know.
Yeah, that is a challenge.
So one of the things that people have noticed about you that maybe they didn't understand earlier was how long you are. You have a very wide, broad shoulders, and your reach makes you play taller than you are. What are you measured at?
I'm measured at I'm measured at 6'7" without shoes, so then like 6'8". And then, like you said, wingspan 7'3", and I weigh 225.
7'3", so you're plus 7 inches or 8 inches from your height to your reach. How does that help you on the court in terms of being able to block shots that people don't think you can get to, or get to loose balls that otherwise you would not?
Yeah, it helps for sure. I mean, like, if you're guarding a taller person, even though, like, if you're guarding a taller person, that could be like 6'10", but the arms aren't as long. When you put your arms up, it could be the same exact height as them. So, yeah, that would probably help. Getting steals, being able to cover more ground, and, yeah. So that will help for sure.
We're talking with Julius Avent, a member of Michigan State's heralded incoming class for 2026-27. Julius, your opponents are not listening to this, so don't worry about giving them a free scouting report. But it's the end of the game. Maybe it's even the end of the game in Moneyball. We saw one last night that seemed like it wasn't going to end. But your team has the ball. You're down a point. Ball's coming to you. Where do you want it, and what's your grade A move?
For me, it would probably be, I would either want it on the left or right wing, and it'll probably be me going either left for a step back or right for a step back, like a crossover into like a going downhill and then a bump step back, something like that, until mid-range, most likely.
Okay. Is that something that we're going to see in next year or so?
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit more about this freshman group. And a lot of times a program will get a marquee recruit. It isn't often that they will get 4 of them, especially in this day of the transfer portal and smaller freshman classes. What kind of solidarity and camaraderie bond is there among you 4?
Yeah, there's a big camaraderie bond. Just like an hour ago, we was all chilling in the same room watching YouTube and stuff. But we all, we talk. We've been building more of a bond now. Like, some of us have had bonds before you even come here. It's like Ethan and Carlos went to the same school, so they knew each other pretty well. Me and Cy knew each other before this. Cy and Ethan played at USA, so they know each other from there as well. And just, building that. And, yeah, we're definitely, everybody all likes each other. Got good chemistry, building chemistry.
You're practicing in the morning. You're lifting early, right? What time are you normally done in the day?
Well, it'll probably depend, but like last week we had camp all week, so I wasn't done till like maybe 5 o'clock.
Right.
But this past week I've been done kind of earlier. We had a golf outing thing on Monday, so I didn't get back till like 7 or 8. But for the most part this week, we've been done around 2, 3 o'clock. Yeah.
Okay. Are you a golfer, or was that kind of a new experience for you?
Yeah, it was kind of a new experience. I've been at Top Golf or like at the like low range, but I never played 18 holes in my life. So,
which of the freshmen is the best golfer?
Shoot, it might be me.
Okay.
Might be me.
Well, with that reach and that swing, I imagine you can generate a lot of power. What about the best bowler? Have you been bowling yet?
We haven't went bowling as a team, so I don't know. I haven't seen them bowl, but I could bowl pretty good too.
Okay, all right.
I haven't seen them though.
Which of you is the best at telling a joke?
Telling a joke. Maybe Carlos. I don't know. Maybe a hard one. We all equally, I would say.
Okay.
Equally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can any of you cook?
I haven't seen them cook. Well, actually, no. I think Ethan can cook.
He can. Okay.
But me and Josiah both could cook. I know that for sure. I can't speak on everybody. I haven't seen them. But.
So you've had much chance to get out and sample the food and the fare here in mid-Michigan, and is there a place that you would recommend? It's only been 3 weeks.
Place that I would recommend. I've been to like the places I've been to for the most part have been places that are basically like everywhere, like Chipotle, but
chains.
Yeah, I would say I have had Hot Cat. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
Is there a game in this season, Julius? And it's an amazing schedule. I mean, you're playing everybody. It's Michigan State versus the world. Is there one game that you are really looking forward to, and when you fall asleep at night and dream, that's the opponent?
Game I'm really looking forward to. I would say, most of the games I'm really looking forward to, but one maybe against USC. We play against two good friends of mine.
Okay.
Adonis Ratliff and Darius Ratliff, so maybe them.
Okay. All right.
They play at USC.
So with your dad playing in the 89 Final Four, if you played in two of them at Michigan State, would that give you a little bragging rights?
Oh, yeah, I guess that would. So I'll have to win it, though, too, because it would be no different if we both lost.
Yeah. Are you going to fill out, I'm guessing, if you're 225, say, that you're just going to put on 10 pounds of natural strength, plus all the strength and conditioning things that Lorenzo Guess is having you do. You're going to carry weight the way Cam Ward is. He's put on almost 20 pounds in the offseason, and he looks great. So I'm thinking you're going to be close to 240 by the time you're done.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. He was talking to me the other day. He was like, "Are you ready to be 235?"
What is it about you that people here don't know, maybe won't get to know for a while, but you would like them to know about Julius Avent?
What I would like them to know, I would say probably just I'm a great person on and off the court.
Yeah.
You know, someone that can help the team, talk, be a leader. So I would say that.
So some of the things that the media came away with on those first two sessions out in the hallway after you left, everyone's looking at each other. What do you think? What do you think? And says, man, he's long. Someone else said, he really handles himself well. And then someone else said, pretty mature for a guy that age. Which of those three attributes would you value the most?
I would say, yeah, pretty mature. Yeah, definitely. The way I handle myself, respectable. I would definitely say that. I take pride in that.
When people get to know you, would they say that you're low-key or intense?
I'd probably say I'm like more low-key, but yeah, they would say that probably.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's great to get to know you a little bit, and we're going to do that more. Rob, this is 2 appearances on the show for Julius Avent, and I think he's dunked both of them. So congratulations on your start here. When fans see you at Moneyball, a lot of them are going to come up and they're going to say hello, introduce themselves to you. You won't remember their names, but the way you handle yourself, they'll think that you're their best friend. And a lot of them will want your autograph, and little kids will come up and they're going to want pictures taken, and they're going to put those pictures up in their room, and they're going to be telling people after you have a big game, yeah, I know Julius Avent. I got to know him at Moneyball when actually, they saw you for 12 seconds. But that's kind of what this is, and it's pretty unique. There aren't a lot of schools that have this kind of session to get to know the community, and the community here, Julius, is part of what makes Michigan State great.
Thanks, indeed.
We will be right back, Rob, and we have lots to talk about. We're going to talk about the NHL draft with Connor Eargood, who is there. We talk about We Are There Sports Radio. Connor Eargood is everywhere. I really think there are 3 of them. And one of them is at the NHL draft this weekend. We're also going to talk about that with Neil Koepke, I believe, and Paul Shaheen going to be joining us. Then we're going to talk a little World Cup with Cameron Ganas, is very well known here in Lansing, with Traction, the number 1 branding firm in the state. And he is in Kansas City. We'll also talk about Team USA and the loss last night to Turkey. That thing could not have been any closer to a draw. I mean, it came down to the final seconds of extra time. And finally, player made a fantastic play, what they call a nutmeg. Do you know what a nutmeg is, Rob?
It's like a spice, isn't it?
Yes.
Right?
It is, but in
it's
terms
a soccer term.
In terms of sports, yeah, it's where you put the ball through the opponent's legs.
It came down to the last kick before time ran out.
That's right.
So literally the last kick goes in for Turkey, but it'll be interesting to see and hear how USA is handling that. Obviously, it doesn't hurt them in the end.
Right.
But depth could be an issue for this U.S. team as we head into the knockout round.
That's
but
right.
We'll talk about it a little later.
Well, you felt good for Turkey because they had lost the first 2 matches, and to go 0-3, that would have been a long flight back.
Yeah, I like turkey, especially. I like
no
turkey.
Dressing, gravy.
Yeah, I like turkey on Thanksgiving.
So for Turkey, that was good. For the United States, it was
a learning
not
experience.
a friendly, but it was.
It's a learning experience.
Yeah, exactly. If they had won all 3, maybe they would have thought that they were invincible. Now they know that they can be beaten, and now they are in the knockout round, the round of 32, and that will be next week against Bosnia-Herzegovina. So that's how they start, and it's a pretty good draw for the U.S. men's national team. Could have been a lot tougher. Let's just say that. There are no guarantees at this stage, but I think the way Team USA is playing, they dominated the match last night, and I think had more chances, more shots, more opportunities. Probably, certainly could have won, maybe should have won, but that's all right too. We will be back.
You with the soccer knowledge.
You like that?
My goodness.
Yeah. You know what this is about? This is kind of a dress rehearsal for me because my son and grandson are coming in next week, right? I am meeting them next Friday in Boston.
Great place. I hear a great place.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but it's the only place we could land. And then we're driving back to Michigan, spending time here, but then they are heading back to the East Coast, and we'll be there for the World Cup final.
Outstanding.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. And
what an atmosphere that'll be.
My son is a soccer guy. He was a college football player, but he is a soccer guy now. And his son, Logan, is a super soccer fan. And I don't say he's a prodigy, but he's probably one of the best soccer players his age, at age 8, in all of China. I can say that. So we will be back in just a minute with Connor Eargood of the Detroit News here on The Drive with Jack. Jack Ebling here with my good friend Matt Sloan at Graph of Okemos. Spring is here, and so is good news for lease customers.
You got that right, Jack. Pretty exciting news, both at Nissan and Chevy. We have a lease pull ahead starting right now. So if you're bored with your lease, too many miles, close to too many miles, you just want to get out because of a high payment, bring it in. We'll get you out of your lease and get you into something more exciting.
Stop and see Matt and the gang at Graph of Okemos. They're making friends.
So, it's been a while since you've had your jewelry cleaned and inspected, right? Where will you go and who will you trust with your most valuable and treasured heirlooms? At Meadowar Jewelers' 4 locations in Lansing, Okemos, Jackson, and Portage, jewelry isn't just our job, it's our passion. Each and every piece entrusted in our care is thoroughly inspected by our trained staff against damage or normal wear. And we offer you, our customer, the highest level of quality on repairs and custom designs. Whether it's worn out prongs, channels, or shanks, it's all handled with incredible care. Meadowar Jewelers in Lansing, Okemos, Jackson, and Portage want to help you preserve your memories and offer you options on creating new ones. Come in today for the cleaning and inspection of your jewelry. We continue to work hard every day to earn your confidence and trust.
Dean Transportation is looking for compassionate people to join our team of school bus drivers and attendants. Visit deanjobs.com to see all openings. Dean Transportation provides paid training to obtain a commercial driver's license, increased starting pay, comprehensive benefits, and flexible schedules with no weekend shifts. No experience needed. Apply today at deanjobs.com and train for back-to-school season. That's DEAN jobs.com.
Jeremy, I gotta ask, how do you always know where to go on the weekends?
Easy. One North. It's basically my cheat code.
What's going on there?
Live music every Friday and Saturday night, DJ trivia during the week. There's always something happening, Jack.
So I don't have to keep texting you for plans?
Nope. Just follow all 3 One North locations on social media. Lineups, times, everything's right there.
That might actually simplify my life.
That's the goal. When you're looking for something to do, One North's the move.
All right. See you there this weekend.
Are you passionate about college sports? Foster Swift Sports Talk is your go-to podcast dedicated to addressing the hottest topics in college athletics, including recruiting practices, NIL, the trade portal, collectives, and revenue generation.
Join us as we bring you insights from student athletes, college head coaches, administrators, and other industry leaders as they share their experiences in this rapidly changing arena.
Our mission is to share information and help educate student athletes, parents, coaches, and other stakeholders with the knowledge, resources, and strategies they need to make informed decisions and maximize each college athlete's potential for long-term success.
Check out our latest episode where we're joined by Stephen Bianco to discuss his work at 42U and working with universities around the country.
Like and subscribe to our YouTube and Facebook pages to watch all of our episodes, or you can give us a listen on any of your favorite podcasting platforms by simply searching Foster Swift Sports Talk. Until next time, I'm your host, Dave Russell.
Welcome back. It is The Drive with Jack, Spotlight Radio Network. Jack Ebling here with my producer, Boston Rob. I want to go back to our guest line, and one of the most versatile beat writers we have now in the state of Michigan. I used to say that about Tony Paul all the time. I didn't think there was anything he couldn't cover. Connor Eargood is moving in that direction, Rob. Not just Michigan State football and basketball, but we know how much he loves hockey. And he is basically everywhere, usually at the same time. Connor, where are you as we speak?
I am right outside the KeyBank Center in beautiful Buffalo, New York. They're calling it the house Trey Fort built. Heard that from some of the kids. No, just kidding. But no, back in Buffalo for the NHL draft, and a lot of Spartans could be picked today. I
liked Buffalo when we were there this spring. It was a little better than I anticipated. I came in with low expectations and had a pretty good time. I thought the people there were friendly. And when you walk into KeyBank, one of the first things you see is that shrine to Ryan Miller.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's a legend in these parts, right? And had a very successful NHL career. I was joking with some people that Buffalo reminds me of my hometown of Flint. If it had a little bit more money, and I was at the Museum of History today here, and was looking it up. So the settlers of Genesee County actually named Genesee County in Michigan after Genesee County in New York in the Buffalo area because they miss Buffalo so bad. So a little bit of taste of home here in upper western New York.
We have talked about Flint before, and you're still a young guy, but there was a time before you were around where Flint was, per capita, as big a spawning ground for talent as there was anywhere in the country. It used to say that if you could just take the representatives from Peoria, Illinois, and Flint, you could win a national championship every year. And now it's hard to imagine what has happened to Flint. When you hear all the stories about all the great players who came out of Flint, do you wish you'd been around to see all that?
I wish I was one of them. I'd be making a lot more money. No, there's still some talent. Hey, Trey McKenney was a very clutch player for Michigan in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah,
national champion and a guy they're really leaning on after all the mess that happened there this week. So. No, it's still my hometown. It's still one of my favorite cities in the country. It's always going to be home. But the athletic talent has gone down. I think a big part of it is just population based. It's so small compared to where it used to be year over year. The census record's shrinking. It's pretty much leveled off to I guess you'd say like a reasonable size.
Yeah,
I think it's like the 6th largest city in the state right now. It might be 7th at the next census, but. It's just a numbers game like anything. And, there's still a lot of athletic pride. Mark Ingram, Heisman winner.
Yeah.
So many, the Flintstones, the Spartans, it's
right.
Still a talented area in semi-recent history. So got to send some more to the pros, though. That's the goal here.
So I spent 3 years, Connor, in Davison, which is just east of Flint, and I was teaching and coaching in Lapeer. This is back in the mid-'70s, a century ago. But how would you describe Flint when you meet other writers on the road and they say, where are you from? And you say, oh, Flint, Michigan. They give you kind of a side eye. How would you describe it?
Yeah, I mean, it's better than you hear about. It's like any Midwestern city. Yeah. So it's home to me. So I look over a lot of things. But, I mean, there's a beautiful downtown. There's a lot of activities to do in the summertime. Nice bars, diners. The Flint-style coney is the greatest way to eat a hot dog. I don't know how many people are really into hot dog cuisine, but it's a shame that Abbott's is closing / getting bought out because that's the good stuff. So I'm a Flint diehard. So it's I still live there and commute an hour to work every day. So and that's not going to change anytime soon.
For those who are only familiar with what are actually Detroit-style conies with a sign of a soupier sauce and almost like a beef burger kind of topping on the Flint dog, what are people missing if they've never had a Flint coney?
I mean, it's got to be a Kogel's hot dog too, and I think that's a big part of the battle. It's got to have the snap, but no, it's a meatier sauce, and it's a little bit thicker. It's almost like a pate. Because it's beef heart, and you would think that would taste funny, but the texture is perfect. It's a great topping. But enough about Flint. Let's talk some Michigan State here.
Well, let's do that. All right, let's talk about Michigan State hockey and players who are going to be drafted or have been drafted. They're saying that it wasn't long ago we would be up in the press box at Munn and we'd be looking at the line charts. And be pretty clean sheets for Michigan State. And then if it was Minnesota or Michigan, then you would see every NHL logo imaginable on those sheets. What about the way it is now with Michigan State's draft representation, what we already have seen and what we're going to see tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it's taken off, right? There were a whole lot of NHL draft picks on last year's chart. Some of them were healthy scratched. Some of the later round picks, and that would never have happened in the late Danton Cole era. It's a twofold thing. Adam Nightingale is a great developer and a great coach, and gives them a sense of winning hockey and also makes them better players for the NHL level. And then the strength coach, Will Morlock, does a fantastic job of developing players who are 18, 19, 20, sort of just coming into their bodies and the athletic abilities that they have. He's one of the best in the sport, and that's been a conversation around here at the NHL draft of how good a job he does with guys. Porter Martone, just the latest example, steps out of Michigan State and lights up the NHL. So, and that's a big kid. Ethan Belchetz is a guy they picked up who's following his footsteps. Know him. He's going to be picked today, probably in the first 10 picks. So Chase Reed as well is another guy who they're looking forward to seeing what Will Morlock can do, as well as Adam Nightingale and the coaching staff. So it should be, continue to have success as long as those two are there. That's sort of the core of what Michigan State has done, as well as a great staff of assistant coaches. Jared DeMichael is a great coach. Brad Fast is a great director of player personnel. I know he was reassigned this year, but it's a pretty good group of coaches who tend to attract good talent.
Connor, are we going to see Gavin McKenna go number 1 tonight to the Maple Leafs? That's a done deal, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much a done deal. I thought for a second maybe they would look at Stenberg and maybe even a guy like Chase Reed if you want to start in the blue line, especially with Morgan Riley getting older. But no, with McKenna and his ability overall. Yes, he had a tougher season in the NCAA, but I think seeing him struggle and seeing him battle that adversity and come out successful on the other end and playing a pretty big part at Penn State and being a talented player, I think that really showed some NHL teams what he can do, perform well with some of the physical tests. He does seem a little wiry to me, but he's going to be a winger, so he doesn't need to be, not a power forward. Doesn't need to be built like he's off the farm in Ontario. So, I think he's still going to go first overall. After that, it's anyone's business. Chase Reed could go second overall here. He's the top-rated defenseman. Know his name because he's going to be at Michigan State and a big part of the power play on the score sheet a whole lot. The intrigue I see is that second pick, whether it's going to be Stenberg, who did pretty well against grown men in this past men's worlds, and is a pretty darn good player and another winger, or do you need a right shot defenseman with decent size? I mean, he's 6'2", 190. He's going to play, and be developed like we just said by Will Morlock. So, that's the intrigue. There is where he's going to go, and if he's going to be probably the first defenseman off the board. Just exactly when that is.
And which teams have the picks after Toronto 2, 3, 4, 5?
So I couldn't rattle it off the top of my head because I don't have it in front of me. But there was a lot of movement. And Buffalo, I know, has the 4th overall. I think San Jose might be second or third there. So, and that's the intrigue, right? Is what do teams have in their cupboards? Yes. There were 5, 6, maybe even 7 trades this week of just first-round picks where they were sort of being swapped around. And a lot of the prospects here interviewed with certain teams at the Combine, right? Or some of the Russian kids like Nikita Klepov, who's coming to Michigan State, went down to Florida with Milstein. But a lot of the guys here don't even know who could pick them because so many picks have swapped, and a lot of them are hockey nerds, right? And so they remember days like the 2016 opening of free agency that, I think is an iconic hockey day for all the different trades. 1 for 1, it has gone down in lore, but that is part of the intrigue as well, is just how many picks were swapped and who's going to be picked where. It's anybody's ball game or hockey game, I guess, if we're being more sport appropriate.
How many NHL drafts for you now?
This is my 3rd. So 23, 24. I skipped 25 because it was just the players and wasn't really a big on-site thing. And then this is my first one back.
Hey, Rob, you've been pounding the drum here for Chase Reed longer than anyone else. What do you think's going to happen tonight? Where's he going to wind up?
Well, I don't think he's going to go past 4, where now Buffalo is picking. I mean, it's going to be interesting. Like, that second pick is going to be very interesting to see where San Jose goes. And then Vancouver at 3. Originally, when I did a mock draft of the top 15, I had him going there. He most certainly could still go there for Vancouver. Of course, they're rebuilding. But I don't see him dropping past Buffalo at 4. I would be shocked if he would drop below that.
Okay. All right.
Unless Connor knows something that I don't.
Well, he does.
No,
I guarantee
I
he
think
does.
you're spot on. I think you're spot on.
All right.
There's no way he's getting past Buffalo.
Let's switch gears now and talk some college basketball. First of all, let's go back to the beginning of the week, Connor. How surprised were you on a 1 to 10 scale when you heard that Dusty May was leaving? He had this contract, and supposedly he just hadn't gotten around to autographing it yet. But next thing we know, he is on his way to Dallas. Now he's going to have Morez Johnson Jr., was, I guess, projected as the third of the 3 Michigan lottery picks, first-round picks, certainly. And he was taken number 9 overall. He'll be playing with Cooper Flagg. But a new basketball coach at the University of Michigan, that's going to be a little different again for the second time in 3 years. How surprised were you that Dusty May would leave?
I would give it, I don't know, if I'm being cocky, a 3. If I'm being honest, a 5, right?
Okay.
Yes, it's surprising to see a coach win a national championship. Wait until June. That's sort of the key here, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't right after the season. It wasn't the beginning of the NBA hiring cycle. It was just, the day before the draft that he ends up leaving.
Right.
That is the surprising part. He has wanted to go to the NBA and made that, sort of clear, right? He hasn't considered the college jobs, and he's interviewed for them because that's how you make a fatter paycheck. But,
right.
The NBA is what's intriguing to him and what has him sort of, his interest. And he ends up signing and going to Dallas, who obviously has Cooper Flagg.
Yeah.
And he's going to have one of his players. Morez is actually the one I like out of those 3 the most.
Okay.
Just as a player and a potential pro. So I actually think that was the right decision in terms of evaluation. I mean, Yaxel's going to be, 24 here soon. I think before the start of the season. And Mara's good, but centers, you can get a guy who can give you good defensive minutes, like a Carson Cooper who signed as a UDFA out of Michigan State.
Right,
You can get some really tall guys who can fill those spots. I mean, Mara's a great defender and a great talent, and certainly a first-round pick kind of guy. He'll probably be in the league for a good amount of time, but Johnson is just a bully. And that was what stood out to me about his game. Not to get off topic, but, I think Dusty at the pro level, the way he built at Michigan, just taking care of his front court, I think this is a similar thing where he has, in his group, right? If he can take care of the front court guard play, he can get what he needs out of.
Yeah.
And he has sort of a baseline of rebounding, of defense, of all the things that tend to, lead teams astray if they don't have it. He has that taken care of in some regard, and I think that's where you'll see him concentrate his resources early.
The fact that Dusty May is leaving the University of Michigan, a lot of people who don't like Ward Manuel, looking for reasons that he might be gone. Certainly there is an investigation, high-profile, high-budget investigation of the entire department and the culture. And a lot of people think that they're going to find something, some reason to get rid of Ward, especially now that Dusty May is not there. Do you hold him accountable in any way, and will this impact whether or not Ward Manuel stays at Michigan?
No, I don't. Really. If he wanted to go to the NBA, he was going to go.
Yeah.
The only thing that affects Michigan is the buyout, right?
Yeah.
And they're still going to get like $5 million on his buyout. That's why he didn't sign the new contract. He had it ironed out. And it just wasn't signed because I think Dusty knew what was going to happen here. So, I don't begrudge him. It's hard to keep talent around, right? And you can look at Jim Harbaugh leaving. That was sort of a messy break. People are going to make their decisions to go pro. Like, it's just like the players. When people question, coaches whose players tend to go pro early or transfer, all these different things, like, when there's money involved and there's these sort of life-changing decisions,
right.
It's hard to begrudge players for going out and, kind of doing them, right?
Right.
And taking care of themselves. So you got to look out for number one. That's what Dusty did here. And it's unfortunate for Michigan because you go win a national championship and you leave. Certainly there's conversations of legacy that have come up this week. And what he leaves behind. Look, he won him a national championship. I don't think anyone can really get on him,
right.
About leaving. But the question is going to be who replaces him. And Mike Boynton did a very good job as sort of the second in command to Dusty. I can't speak to how much he was leaned on, as what percentage of the decisions as an associate head coach he made. But just seeing him in practice at some of the games, not practice at some of the games, in practice before some of the games, like in March Madness, seeing how he interacted with players during games, seeing, his role. Clearly, he was a higher-up kind of guy for them. And Cade Cunningham, he had coached at Oklahoma State. Didn't win a whole lot, at Oklahoma State, but obviously got upset with Cade in that season. But, he's a guy who has the institutional knowledge and probably keeps your roster together. So at least for an interim, that move makes sense. And Ward has done that time after time with his coaches. Brandon Naurato has taken Michigan to 3 Frozen Fours in his 4 years at the helm of the hockey team. He started out as an interim. And actually, it was kind of crazy how long he was an interim before Ward finally put pen to paper. But, Sharon Moore, before the scandal, it was the obvious sort of hire for them, right? Is to take the guy who had some success and give him some resources. Granted, he was inexperienced, and people could see the sort of potential for failure coming a mile away. It's not actually what made him fail. It was some other decisions he made that weren't very mature. But it does make sense to name Boynton the interim. But what comes next and who's going to be the permanent guy, that's what you should judge Ward over.
Mike Boynton,
as well as all the scandals.
Yeah, we can't forget those. And
that's the bad part.
With an 8-figure investigation, you're talking about more than $10 million now wrapped up in this. You can see that this is something being taken seriously. But if you had the first choice in the Michigan coaching draft lottery, you got a guy who we said was 119 and 109 in 7 seasons with 1 NCAA tournament cup of coffee. Or you can have any coach that might be interested in the country, and we've heard the usual suspects. Who would you guess might be coaching Michigan to start the 27-28 season?
I don't even want to make that guess because this season, sorry, it's a little out here, I would want to see how coaches are able to perform this season because I think a lot of the time what leads you astray, and Michigan got lucky that Dusty panned out, right?
Yes.
Is you see the guy who succeeds in March, maybe makes a run with a team that you didn't expect, maybe, with a smaller budget or something is able to succeed. It takes a lot of luck to get the pieces to fall together.
Right.
And at the D2 level, D3, the JUCOs, the smaller group of 5 schools, non-power teams, like there's always someone doing more with less, and someone, overachieving. And it's talent evaluation to find those guys. If I was to speak on that, I would just be spitting off numbers, and that's not the way to hire anybody.
Right.
Numbers tend to lie. It's the 3 great lies. Statistics is probably the worst of them all. So it's hard to hire some. Well, and it's true. Like, it's such an involved process, and especially at a school that throws around money like Michigan does.
Yeah.
And the NIL and what you're in command of now. It's not like when John Beeline was hired where it's like, okay, you're putting a roster together, but it's not like you have to worry about rev share and transfer portal and being a GM and contacting all these agents and all the stuff that all the coaches hate. There's a lot more to it these days, and it's going to be a really hard evaluation process. Michigan State's going to have to do that at some point, right?
Yeah.
I think this is a process that Michigan State fans should be watching, is how Michigan is approaching this. Because this is probably someone that Michigan is going to want to be around for a while.
Right.
Just like Michigan State is going to want someone to be around a while. Obviously, Judd and Tom have both been around, the previous 2 coaches for a really long time. But when the day comes that Michigan State has to hire someone, it'll probably try to be a longer-term hire. So it's going to be quite the involved process. So Michigan State fans, I know you're probably relishing in Michigan's discomfort right now, as you probably should, because it's it makes the rivalry fun. But pay attention to how this process pays out because this could be pretty informative for what Michigan State's going to face one day.
Connor, you mentioned Jim Harbaugh, and everyone expected that he would leave. He tried to leave before he did, and it didn't work out in Minnesota. Came back, and they wound up winning it all. And now we see Dusty May. I always thought that he would be an NBA coach. I just didn't think it would be now. But the one that really surprised me was John Beeline leaving after the 2019 season. He was older, really didn't have any pro pedigree. It seemed like he was a college lifer. And when he announced that he was going to be the coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers, albeit very briefly, he got knocked me over with a feather.
Yeah, it was such a dumb decision. I'm sorry, it was. Like, you have all the legacy, you have all the things going for you. You just played for a national championship the season prior. And to leave when he did, I thought was really, not the greatest decision. and Juwan didn't pan out very well at Michigan in his aftermath, with the way that all ended. And I think it set both him and the university back because he wasn't around very long in Cleveland, and it wasn't a great departure. So, it's one of those things, like, when you're a legendary coach, one of the things I respect about Tom is that he stayed at Michigan State and had his commitment. And I know Arizona was how much of a consideration it was is the real question, but there was an offer, the season before this most recent, to go to the NBA ranks. Phoenix. And again, he chose his players. He chose, Phoenix. He chose, I always say Arizona because the hockey team, but, he just being able to choose Michigan State over and over again and being comfortable where his feet are, I think is incredibly commendable. If John Beilein had stayed at Michigan, I almost wonder if he would still be there today because I don't think he and Tom would let each other out. I think there'd be a little, if he was dead set, I think part of that rivalry and respect between the two, I don't think they could leave each other. So you'd probably get 3 more years out of each of them just based off old man stubbornness. But no, it's a shame the way his tenure ended. But again, like I just said, for Michigan State fans, watch how this process plays out for Michigan. Because you run into that at some point. And, Michigan State fans have been very spoiled in their basketball coaching for the better part of 4 or 5 decades here. So it's something to not necessarily worry about, but just, pay attention to and sort of gather all the information and analysis you can off of it.
This will be 51 years of Heath Zoe, or Coat, or whatever you want to call this handoff of these two coaches. You mentioned numbers before and what numbers can say or sometimes lead you to incorrect assumptions, but there's one number that is undeniable when you talk about someone at one school for 44 years, as Tom Izzo is, 12 with Judd, and now in his 32nd as head coach. How do you explain that to people from other parts of the country who say, why hasn't Izzo ever left?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think he just is comfortable and knows what he has, and it's sometimes I don't know. It's very easy to be lured in by NBA money and NBA opportunities. But I think every opportunity he's had of teams trying to woo him, right? It hasn't been this surefire thing. It's not like it's the prime Lakers that he's been offered. It's a task of rebuilding. And I think for a guy who's a teacher at heart, and cares about that, I think he enjoys kind of shaping young men and mentoring. I mean, he was on the phone with Draymond Green earlier this week when Axel Lendeborg decided to chirp about Michigan State, and as a rental at Michigan, saying what he said was interesting. But Draymond's getting Izzo on the phone in the south of France during the off season. There's a connection there. He cares about his players, and I think that's part of what makes it cool. What Michigan State does year over year, you see it with Grind Week when guys come back, and just the stories that some of the freshmen and sophomores tell of NBA guys that they grew up revering. They come back and are practicing right next to them, and also holding them to a higher standard, and the standards of the program. So, it's one of those things that I think success and being comfortable with a level of success and not being too good for something that's going well for you, I think is part of the reason he stayed so long.
There aren't many things that we can be absolutely sure of, Connor, in our business. There aren't many guarantees we can make, but I have one today. Draymond Green is not going to come back from France, go to Warriors training camp, go up and say, Mr. Lendeborg, sir, would you like my number? I think, I don't know if he's even going to get his phone number, but I think that there's going to be maybe a rookie process for Yaks with the Warriors, and Draymond will be leading that. I don't know that that's going to result in Jordan Poole type.
Yeah, the kid's immature. He was at Michigan. It's not surprising, but it's a shame that he hasn't grown up. Yeah. And I know there's the whole him being a goof, and that's part of his personality. But man, you're going to be 24 here, and I know people get on him about his age, and some of that's probably undeserved, and it's just a critique. And some of it, when he does things like this, is dead apparent. He needs to mature. Now this is the pros. It's not the college game. So. If he continues to act like this, there will be repercussions for that, for his career, for his professionalism, for all that. So if he wants to be an NBA player, the moments like he had and and sort of not watching what he says and kind of instigating. We'll see. You got to be a hell of a player to pull that off.
We're talking with Connor Eargood of the Detroit News, and he is live at the NHL draft. Last thing for you, Connor. We know that these jobs are short-term often. Michigan and Michigan State looking for presidents. Might both be looking for directors of athletics, depending on the results of an investigation. Certainly new football coaches at both places, and one new basketball coach. That's could be 7 out of 8 positions new. But in terms of Michigan State at the leadership with the president, unless there can be some last-minute change of heart for Kevin Guskowitz twisting his arm, or if something else would change. We know Jay Batt is off to the University of Kentucky. For some reason, he's not leaving yet. I think he wants to. Yeah. There's a financial component involved there. Not really high on that motive, but what do you think the best approach here is for Michigan State to make the best of a bad situation?
Yeah, I think there's two things. Number one, you need to hire the president first, and it needs to be someone that's going to be here for 5 years.
Yes.
Not here in Buffalo and in East Lansing.
Yes.
Someone at least 5 years.
Yeah.
That gives you a sense of stability that hasn't been there since years, right?
Yes.
At least since 22, way before then.
Right.
Luana
K. Simon was here from
the
05
Hollis, Luana K.
yeah,
Simon overlap.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Probably since that era, Michigan State hasn't had real stability, in position, in leadership, in ability, right? That's the other thing is the end of that tenure when Tom Izzo is the guy who's the face of your university and he's supposed to be your hoops coach. As much as he does for Michigan State, you need real leadership and you need someone that stands up in the fire. So I think there's a tendency to be conservative with this hire, and for an AD and a president and to be conservative to get you someone that gets 5 years, they have to be 5 good years, and a good tenure. I think it needs to be someone who is, understands tradition and isn't a salesman where, they're going to sell off every bit of scrap and add space they can in a stadium, use up all sorts of different resources and just be worried about the money. It's a storied program in the Big Ten. There's a lot of history. You have to be cognizant of that. But you need someone who's creative with revenue streams, and Michigan State really needs some money right now. Even with Spartan Ventures and some of these moves, the deficit has gone down, but the athletics deficit is still $10 million. And the budget's pretty small relative to some of the other Big Ten schools. So, there's a lot of issues there that would have to be fixed for the next athletic director. Again, someone longer tenured, who's going to be around. And I think it's got to be someone who, frankly wants to win where it matters, right? In football, in basketball, women's basketball, hockey, gymnastics, like the sort of core sports, that get a lot of fanfare and attention and branding. That's what sort of dictates what you can do, financially as an athletic department, how much your football team is able to make. Michigan State's jersey patch deal for all their jerseys, is only $40 million for a 10-year deal. That's not incredible. It's not a super valuable sum, and they're locked into it. Like, that's the cost of losing in football. Yeah. That's 4 losing seasons in football, vacated wins, drama, new coaches, all the things that have happened there.
Right.
Football is the crown jewel of any athletic department, and you need to make that successful. Jay Batt was absolutely right about that at Michigan State. When he was the athletic director for a year, whoever takes over is going to have to share that opinion.
Connor Eargood of the Detroit News. Connor, have a great time this weekend at the draft, and we'll see you when you're back here probably sometime in July at Moneyball.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right. We're going to take a break, and when we get back, we're going to talk with Paul Shaheen and I believe Neil Koepke about the NHL draft, and we may also touch on Major League Baseball and the American League Central Division with Paul being in Chicago. He's director of our Chicago Bureau, talking a little bit about the White Sox and Neil and his beloved Cleveland Guardians. We'll be right back on The Drive with Jack.
Dean Transportation is looking for compassionate people to join our team of school bus drivers and attendants. Visit deanjobs.com to see all openings. Dean Transportation provides paid training to obtain a commercial driver's license, increased starting pay, comprehensive benefits, and flexible schedules with no weekend shifts. No experience needed. Apply today at deanjobs.com and train for back-to-school season. That's DEAN jobs.com.
Jeremy, it's finally patio season.
About time. And not just any patio, Amy. One North patios.
We're talking sunshine, cold drinks, and that perfect I should have left work early vibe.
Lansing, East Lansing, Jackson, each one has got its own patio personality.
Whether it's brunch in the sun, happy hour with friends, or late night cocktail under the lights.
It just hits different outside.
Great food, craft drinks, and plenty of space to kick back.
So grab your crew and claim your spot.
One North Kitchen and Bar, your table's waiting. Outside.
Let's go.
So, it's been a while since you've had your jewelry cleaned and inspected, right? Where will you go and who will you trust with your most valuable and treasured heirlooms? At Meadowar Jewelers' 4 locations in Lansing, Okemos, Jackson, and Portage, jewelry isn't just our job, it's our passion. Each and every piece entrusted in our care is thoroughly inspected by our trained staff against damage or normal wear. And we offer you, our customer, the highest level of quality on repairs and custom designs. Whether it's worn out prongs, channels, or shanks, it's all handled with incredible care. Meadowar Jewelers in Lansing, Okemos, Jackson, and Portage want to help you preserve your memories and offer you options on creating new ones. Come in today for the cleaning and inspection of your jewelry. We continue to work hard every day to earn your confidence and trust.
Jack Ebling here with my good friend Matt Sloan at Graph of Okemos. Spring is here, and so is good news for lease customers.
You got that right, Jack. Pretty exciting news, both at Nissan and Chevy. We have a lease pull ahead starting right now. So if you're bored with your lease, too many miles, close to too many miles, you just want to get out because of a high payment, bring it in. We'll get you out of your lease and get you into something more exciting.
Stop and see Matt and the gang at Graph of Okemos. They're making friends. Welcome back. It is The Drive with Jack, Spotlight Radio Network. Jack Ebling here with my producer, Boston Rob. I'm going to be talking some National Hockey League draft coming up here. Do we have one of our next guests on the line, Rob?
Yeah, we got Paul ready to go. Still waiting on Neil, but Paul is frothing at the mouth. Get on to talk a little NHL and college hockey. We might sneak a little college hockey in there, too.
Okay, very good.
Yes.
Waiting patiently, our Chicago Bureau Chief, Paul Shaheen. Paul, we just talked with Connor Eargood, who is in Buffalo for the draft. What's an NHL draft like compared to an NBA draft?
I've never been to an NBA draft, Jack and Rob, but I've certainly been to my share of NHL drafts. But, of course, it's a lot different than it used to be. I admit I liked the centralized draft where all the scouts were there and you could see general managers on the phone and all the buzz and the excitement. I would look over to the scout and say, what's going on? What's going on? He's like, I'm not going to tell you. Oh, come on, you can tell me. Come on. What trade's coming? But it was so much fun and so much energy and so much buzz. And now, of course, they've gone to the decentralized draft, which some people are okay with, some people aren't. But it really is exciting. It is truly a convention of epic proportions. It's a lot of fun. Not like it used to be, but still just all kinds of buzz. And as I said all week, Jack and Rob, November through December is the holiday season. April is tax season, and NHL draft in June is lying season. Don't believe anything you say. Everybody lies. Oh, we like this player. Oh, we like this player. What do you think about this player? Oh, he can't skate very well. They just say that as a ruse so that team can pick that player. Everybody lies. Everybody lies. We won't know the truth until the bell tolls and the first pick is made by the Maple Leafs. And we understand a celebrity is going to make that pick for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So, Jack, you better hurry up and get to Toronto, or Buffalo, rather, for that announcement. Maybe it's going to be you. Could be you.
Maybe Neil Koepke. for his beloved Maple Leafs, right? I don't know.
Exactly.
You talk about everyone lying. I know that the Maple Leafs have been lying at the bottom when it comes to winning cups.
Hello. Good one, Jack.
Yeah, but is there any reason that they would be deceptive? Since they have the first pick, they don't have to try to move. They don't have to worry about who's going to be taken ahead of them. Is there any reason at all in 11th hour decision when they would not take Gavin McKenna?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe a month or so ago or maybe 3 weeks ago, maybe a question mark, but it seems like they've had some pretty deep conversations with him, and they went to go visit him. And all indications, I think it would be it would be striking if they didn't take Gavin McKenna. The only other guy I could see them maybe taking would be Ivar Stenberg, who, going into maybe 2 months ago was considered perhaps the fourth or fifth best player available, at least as far as the pundits go. But right now, with he's a Swede, of course, with such a tremendous world championship and way he performed, many people think he, along with a defenseman named Albert Smith, could be the most NHL ready right now. But with all that said, I think Gavin McKenna is going to come in, and I'm sure he's going to be given every opportunity himself to be in a Leaf uniform this fall.
In terms of being a franchise player or even a generational player, although there are very, very, very few of those, would you rather have Connor Bedard? Would you rather have the rights to Gavin McKenna? Or looking way ahead, would you rather have a guy who is projected as the top pick in next year's draft, University of Michigan bound, Landon DuPont?
Well, I tell you, it's sort of an unfair question, Jack, because we've already had a sample size of Connor Bedard.
Yeah.
I'd probably have to go with him. Landon DuPont is an uber-talented kid. He's only 17, and Michigan folk, or obviously in college hockey folks, should be very excited to see him come along. Gavin McKenna, I tell you, I give this kid a lot of credit. He came in with all the fanfare, with the supposed $800,000 of NIL money or what have you. And he didn't get off to as good a start as some people thought, which is kind of silly because people just thought he would pick up where he left off. Well, college hockey is, I'm not saying it's better than the CHL. Some will make that argument, but it's just older. It's just more mature. It's more physical. So he had that struggle, and he was mocked for it. Like, well, what did you, if you had this expectation that he would dominate college hockey, I think that was a reductive, naive, myopic expectation. But by the end of the day, after 35 games, he had 15 goals and 51 points. So he was very, very strong and was certainly in a dominant position by the end of the season. So I give him full marks. He had a couple of off-ice incidents, of course, at least one in a bar, and I think he's gotten through that. And frankly, I think his scouting status has gone up since then. I think they can see he can throw a punch, much less what he can do on the ice. But good for Gavin McKenna. Good season for him. And for Leaf fans, they got to be excited for what he can potentially bring to a team that's again being for the how manyth time, Jack and Rob, the Leafs are going to reinvent themselves once again under new management. We'll see where that goes.
We have seen countless drafts in all kinds of sports, Paul, where the 1-1 selection turns out to be not quite what a player is later on. Doesn't mean that they are busts or flops, but they're just not the best player in the draft as players mature and develop. I laugh at the story last summer when a lot of people were wondering if Gavin McKenna might show up in East Lansing. Haley Schoengart was having lunch with some staff members over in East Lansing, I think at Hopcat. And she looked out and she saw the entire Michigan State coaching staff and Gavin McKenna. And on his official visit, there was some talk that, maybe he would come to Michigan State for less money. He wound up in College Park, or State College, I should say, wound up at State College. And because of that, Michigan State wound up with Porter Martone, and I don't think they would make that trade today. They'd much rather have had Porter.
Oh, Jack, you couldn't be more correct. And being here in Chicago, I can tell you that example comes full circle. So a couple days ago, I'm sure many fans are aware, the Hawks moved their number 4 pick for Bowen Byram, a very strong rising star defenseman for the Sabres, and the Hawks have been pilloried. They have been vilified for this trade, and it almost unanimously. The angle and the connection I'm trying to make is that you cannot, and I've spoken to so many scouts and GMs over the years, you cannot judge a pick in the first year, second year. It almost has to be, in fairness, 3 or 4 years to really see if a pick is really going to pan out. And trades as well. In fact, here's what's funny. Hawk fans are all upset that Bowen Byram was taken in via trade for a 4th overall pick. Some people say you never take a 4th overall pick. Well, guess where Bowen Byram was selected in the 1999 draft? 4th overall, or 2019 draft. He was picked 4th overall.
Yeah.
So you have to be patient, and we're in a day and age, and we've seen that this week, where sometimes teams like Calgary and Chicago that are trying to move up the ladder and trying to bring those stars in, you have to maybe pay up a little bit. But, Jack, your global question, so many players in the top, I think, having attended many drafts as I have, I think players overemphasize, and agents too, overemphasize getting that top pick. I know that maybe gets them more money eventually, or gives them more chances at the very least. But I think if you get picked first, second, or third round, whatever round, it gives you a chance. I mean, there are so many Blackhawks from the 3 Stanley Cup days that were 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th round picks. We don't even have a 9th round anymore. So it really doesn't matter. This is where the scouts make their money. This is their Super Bowl. And it doesn't matter where you go. Certainly, statistically, the higher you are, the better chance statistically, historically. But anywhere you go, you have a chance to make an impact in the NHL.
We know that Landon DuPont, who came down to Michigan and Michigan State, he was kind of projected as a Michigan lean, and that's where he wound up. But Michigan State now adds another player, Matthew Guard, another 6'5" player.
Yes.
For Adam Nightingale's would-be basketball team on ice. and it's G-A-R-D, just like Greg Gard, the coach of Wisconsin Hoops. What can you tell us about him? He was a 2nd-round pick of the Flyers, and someday he might be playing on the team with Porter Martone.
Oh, he's a terrific talent. Left-handed shot, plays for the Seattle Thunderbirds of the Western Hockey League, and that's a tough, rugged lead. I can tell you that. As I said, left-handed shot, 6'5", 194 pounds. So you got to figure he's going to grow and get better. He's a Winnipeg, Manitoba native, already, as you mentioned, drafted by the Philadelphia Flyers. So they obviously feel some strong value of him. And it's just another guy of just this illuminous number of players that the Michigan State Spartans are either going to get coming in this year or maybe in the next couple of years. What a great draft class this has become, and hats off to Adam Nightingale and DeMichael and the whole team and all their assistant coaches. I almost said scouts, but they kind of are scouts, really, right? And when you're an assistant coach and what have you. So the list goes on, and just look at, and again, the changing world that we've been in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Jack and Rob, look at how many of these players are coming from the OHL or the Western Hockey League. Reed, Klepov, Belchez, Rogowski. The list just goes on and on.
Right.
Tom Blyle, who might get picked later, coming out of Moncton, or will be coming out of Moncton. So another great add and another great addition to the Michigan State incoming class in the next couple of years.
With all of these high-profile signees and with the pro interest in all of these players, is it time for Michigan State to, it's going to sound funny compared to considering where they were just a couple of years ago, to do more than rule the Big Ten? We have seen 3 straight Big Ten regular season championships and no performance to get excited about in the NCAA tournament. Is this a year that has to change?
If you're asking Adam Nightingale and his team and his players, that is certainly the year that they want it to change. Certainly, the NCAA tournament is not easy. They're all, it's not World Cup. You don't get 3 chances to move on to the next round, right? It's one game and it's a knockout and you're done. Now, State got past one obstacle this year. They could not get past Wisconsin, however. They could not make it to the Frozen Four eventually, but it is certainly a year that they want to make that next step. And what's interesting about that, Jack, is we're talking about all these draft picks. Where do you separate listen, these top picks, and this is a credit to them, they may be at Michigan State for a year or two, and that's probably it for some of them. Others will stay. Where do you separate? You got to find that mix. And think of the Carolina Hurricanes, in that regard, in the sense of, young, old, established players. What you want to do is you want to find that mix of getting those stars that you probably are only going to have for a couple years, but also finding those guys that you can keep for 2, 3, maybe even 4 years to build the culture and build the team. And that's hard because you're going after these top players, but they're only there for cups of coffee. I mean, look at Michigan. Full marks to their amazing recruiting classes over the years. And now they got Landon DuPont coming in. They are loaded for bear. And this is no offense to them. It just speaks to how hard it is. They still haven't won that title in how many years? So you can bring in all the great players you want. That does it. That's right. I was there for that. They won 96 and 98. It's been, and again, that's not a knock on them. It just speaks to how difficult it is. But at the same time, you do have to step back and you say, okay, is it enough to just bring in these studs that are only going to be there for a little while? You got to mix that in with those guys that are going to come in and be there. And be willing to stay there for 3 or 4 years and really build that culture and build that locker room up. So it's a challenge to do both.
Yeah, and it's testimony to the fact that in a one-game knockout, anything can happen. We have seen so many great players at Michigan and Michigan State, all the Mason years, from 1965 on, and there have been 5 national championships, 3 for the Spartans and 2 for the Wolverines in that span.
Yeah.
So, you consider the number
and no
of
Big
pros.
Ten champion yet. No.
Yeah. Right. So that's something I think that a lot of people are going to be watching very closely. Also, a new goaltender here in East Lansing, and you just got so used to seeing Trey Augustine between the pipes. That's going to be very different.
Well, totally different. Not only is he different, but he's a heck of a lot bigger, right? Than Trey Augustine. Lots of differences. And again, you always have to listen. College sports, as it always is just something that has to continue to evolve. You have to bring in new players, even if you keep those players for that full cycle of 4 years and what have you. That's great. You still have to go through. But Ravensburg is 6'5", 190 pounds. He's going to take up a whole heck of a lot more net than his predecessor. But both are great in their regard. So he'll be looked at to be a big part. And another another Canadian junior hockey league player coming in from the WHL in Ravensburg, and certainly they have great hopes for him too.
We're talking with Paul Shaheen, based in Chicago, and part of our hockey panel. We're blessed, Rob, to have the likes of Neil Koepke, Ricardo Cooney, Paul, and even yourself here to bring us up to speed on everything happening in college hockey. I don't think many sports talk shows can call on that kind of acumen. But I want to take just a minute and talk about the American League Central Division in Major League Baseball. And White Sox and the Guardians going back and forth atop the division. Tigers 8 games back now, but we saw what happened last year when the Guardians rallied from 15.5 games back to catch the Tigers. So it makes 8 games look a little more manageable. What do you think of the White Sox staying power? And when are we going to see Mr. Murakami back in the lineup?
He's still a little ways from coming back. But, yes, listen, it's a great story. Again, we've talked about it before. Here's a team that went 3 straight seasons with over 100 losses, including a new record. But it is a great time to be a White Sox fan if you're here in Chicago and beyond. In fact, this weekend, Jack, would you believe it, I'm heading to Charlotte where the White Sox AAA farm team happens to be. And they've got some great prospects coming up. But it's a great story. Certainly, again, not to be dismissive of the story, but certainly the American League Central is not exactly Arsenal, Manchester United, and Liverpool now, is it? It's the Guardians. I mean, look, now they're both over 500. 41 and 38 are the White Sox.
That's right.
But a couple of weeks we talked, Jack, and the Sox were in great shape, but they got pounded pretty hard by the Yankees. Then they got swept by the Tigers, and now they came back though, and they won 2 of 3 against the Guardians. 2 of the games were in fairly dramatic fashion. So it's just going to be nip tuck, back and forth, and it's just going to be an exciting race. But I have to say, Jack, just walking around Chicago and being downtown a fair bit as I've been the last few weeks, I thought, is it my imagination? Is it just my imagination? But there are way more White Sox hats being worn right now downtown, so you can definitely feel the pride of the South Side is coming. Oh, absolutely.
And
and of course, the Cubs are there too.
And not to be outdone, maybe something that's a little under the radar for the White Sox. You talk about all the young talent and what they're doing this year. They got the #1 pick in the draft coming up.
They do. So that's going to be huge. And Colson Montgomery and Braden Montgomery, not related, but two rising young stars. They're I think the Sox are #2 in home runs next to the Bronx Bombers, if I read the other day, if memory serves. So it's a terrific story. The attendance is great. The enthusiasm is great, and all you can hope for is it just continues and builds and builds and builds from there. So a great story on the South Side.
And that's a great point, Rob, because if UCLA gets what most people think UCLA product, Rock Chalowski, gives the White Sox what most people think he will, he can be Chicago's Bobby Witt Jr., and you put that on a team that is atop or tied for the lead in a division. Now you've got something. And we thought that Chicago was going to be doing this maybe 5 years ago. And then that run did not work out the way people thought it would, but they've managed to have a second chance at this, and this time I don't think they're going to miss. So
you certainly hope not. In fact, there was a great story in today's Chicago Sun-Times, guys, the White Sox writer. He was imploring Jerry Reinsdorf, 90 years of age Jerry Reinsdorf, who in time is going to eventually hand over the reins and has slowly done so to Michigan State Spartan Justin Ishbia, who's going to take over the full reign of the team in due time, and that's seen by many as a positive. But the writer was like, Jerry, you haven't come and talked to us for a few years. Come on, you can come out now. It's okay. No one's gonna throw hot dogs or mustard or pizza at you. It's okay. It's a good time to be a Sox fan. Come on out.
Right.
Tell us how you feel. Jerry Reinsdorf is very, very, very much the recluse. It's just he's one of the oddest owners in sports. I mean, think of all the success he has had success with the Sox. Not as much as other teams in town, but think of the Chicago Bulls and that run they had all those years ago when he co-owned the team. So. It's not as if this guy has not had success, but Sox fans can be loud and they can be very vehement. But right now they're loud and vehement, but for all the right reasons right now. So come on out, Jerry. Come celebrate. Have a hot dog with us. Come on out.
White Sox did have a world championship 21 years after the Tigers' last championship in 1984. So they do have that memory and.
They do.
I suppose people could ask Jerry Reinsdorf, why did you break up the Bulls or why did you cause that to end when it did? But you have 6 championships in 8 years. I think people should be grateful for that. Paul, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Have a great time watching action this weekend and following the draft. And we'll get you and Neil and Rico on again soon.
Should be a lot of fun, boys. Thanks much.
Paul Shaheen, we will be right back, and we're going to talk a little bit of soccer. We don't do this a lot on the show, but we're going to be doing it a little more the next couple of weeks. We're going to have some soccer. This is not going to be the soccer show. If you want that, there are other places to go for it. But there are certain local angles, and there are a lot of people in the area who care a lot about this, not just Graham Couch. But, we saw Bob Trippy. He was in Toronto. We know that we've had people in Atlanta watching games. And now we have Cameron Ganas, and he was just in Kansas City and probably still there watching games. So we're going to talk with him a little bit about it. Of course, Trey Rogers, the Sultan of Sod, coordinating all of these masterful fields. I haven't heard one bad word about the playing surfaces. And that's very odd, Rob, because I don't want to call them whiners, but soccer players...
Oh, they'll flop at anything.
Well,
bad grass, tall grass, wet grass.
Right? Yeah, I haven't heard anyone blaming the fields for their defeats. So we're going to talk with Cam in Kansas City up next on The Drive with Jack.
Dean Transportation is looking for compassionate people to join our team of school bus drivers and attendants. Visit deanjobs.com to see all openings. Dean Transportation provides paid training to obtain a commercial driver's license, increased starting pay, comprehensive benefits, and flexible schedules with no weekend shifts. No experience needed. Apply today at deanjobs.com and train for back-to-school season. That's DEAN jobs.com.
Jeremy, what's the move when the kids say they're bored?
Easy. Family fun night every Tuesday at 1 North.
Free kids meal with every entree, so dinner is handled.
And we're not just talking crayons and paper menus.
Nope. We've got Battleship, Uno, all the table game classics.
Plus, all the big stuff, Amy. Giant Yahtzee, Connect 4. It's basically game night leveled up.
Kids stay entertained, parents actually get to relax. It's a win-win.
Great food, family vibes, and a little friendly competition.
Family fun night at 1 North Kitchen and Bar.
Come hungry and ready to play.
Jack Ebling here with my good friend Matt Sloan at Graph of Okemos. Spring is here, and so is good news for lease customers.
You got that right, Jack. Pretty exciting news, both at Nissan and Chevy. We have a lease pull ahead starting right now. So if you're bored with your lease, too many miles, close to too many miles, you just want to get out because of a high payment, bring it in. We'll get you out of your lease and get you into something more exciting.
Stop and see Matt and the gang at Graph of Okemos. They're making friends.
So, it's been a while since you've had your jewelry cleaned and inspected, right? Where will you go and who will you trust with your most valuable and treasured heirlooms? At Meadowar Jewelers' 4 locations in Lansing, Okemos, Jackson, and Portage, jewelry isn't just our job, it's our passion. Each and every piece entrusted in our care is thoroughly inspected by our trained staff against damage or normal wear. And we offer you, our customer, the highest level of quality on repairs and custom designs. Whether it's worn out prongs, channels, or shanks, it's all handled with incredible care. Meadowar Jewelers in Lansing, Okemos, Jackson, and Portage want to help you preserve your memories and offer you options on creating new ones. Come in today for the cleaning and inspection of your jewelry. We continue to work hard every day to earn your confidence and trust.
Welcome back. It is The Drive with Jack, Spotlight Radio Network. Jack Ebling here with my producer, Boston Rob. Rob, that's a really good rejoin for this segment. Oh, J.J. Jackson, it's all right. It's all right. It's all right for USA Soccer that did not win last night, actually lost in the final second against Turkey, 3-2. But I want to welcome in Cameron Ganas. He's a soccer source for me. He's also a great friend. He is Mr. Traction, which is the #1 branding firm. You'll find, I think, they have every award that's ever been won in the state of Michigan for that. And also knows a thing or two about publishing books. Certainly mine and magazine. We know about that. Greater Lansing Sport, Heart of a Spartan, all of those things. But the heart of the U.S. right now seems to be as soccer-oriented, Cam, as it has ever been. And you're in Kansas City as we speak, right?
I am, yeah.
So what's it like there? And you saw a very interesting match.
I saw a less than exciting match, but a World Cup match nonetheless, which means it's pretty darn exciting no matter what. You know, Kansas City is such a great town. Yeah. It's really a small town. I think it's the smallest town in the country that's hosting a World Cup event. And they did a great job putting their bid together to really welcome them. You know, they're the sport architecture capital of the,
yes, that's right,
at least of the country. But you know, lots of great sports architecture happens from here, including many venues here in Michigan or there in Michigan that that we're accustomed to. But yeah. It's a great sports town.
When you think about the size of the towns you mentioned, and this World Cup is being hosted in 3 countries. I don't know if we've seen that before, with Mexico and Canada also helping out with this. But most of these cities, as you say, are multi-sport towns. Mexico City certainly wouldn't be in that mix. But is Kansas City the only one in the United States that only has 2 pro teams? Doesn't have professional basketball or hockey?
Yeah. It does have both men and women's professional soccer, so it does make sense that it's a soccer, capital here for that perspective. But yeah, the game yesterday was in Arrowhead Stadium. However, now according to FIFA, it's just Kansas City Stadium because there's no sponsorship allowed unless they're paying for it. But the hallmark of Arrowhead Stadium, the football-shaped scoreboards and each digital scoreboards in each end, and the shape of the peaks around the stadium, it's unmistakably Arrowhead Stadium.
Yeah. And Arrowhead is not a company, right? That reference was made to the Chiefs, so it's not like there's a buck to be made off of this. Although if there was, I'm sure FIFA would find a way to make it.
It's called Gayha Field at Arrowhead Stadium is technically what the stadium is now. But yeah, there is a sponsor now involved by naming the field after it. Yeah,
I gotcha. So can you talk about FIFA and its role in this event? A lot of people complaining about ticket prices. I don't know what the seats are going for there. I know that when you get to the final in MetLife Stadium, what that's going to be, that's in mid-July. But when you look at what the prices and everything, the other day, Cam, I picked up. It was just a tumbler. I mean, it was nothing. It would look like it would be $2, right? And I saw it had a FIFA logo, World Cup logo on the side, and it's at $25.
I mean, FIFA's its own kingdom, right? Like, they definitely own the sport. People call the World Cup just FIFA. It's interesting how people conflate the two things, but it's the oldest sport federation in the world, right? And some of the founding nations. In fact, the game that we saw yesterday, the Netherlands, they're one of the founding countries when FIFA was first started and created the federation football. So this idea, this association soccer, really is where the word soccer came from. It was association football. I don't know if you ever talked to us about the story of where the name came from, but it is the giant. It's the power, and they basically show up and they have one contract they hand to every city, and you either sign it or you don't. There's no red lines, which is why it's not in Chicago, because the mayor basically said we are not going to potentially put a dome on our stadium. We are not going to do all these other things that were in the contract. And FIFA said either sign it or don't. So the mayor signed it, but with a bunch of asterisks basically next to the signature line. And so FIFA didn't award that, which is why the closest city we have to watch the World Cup when we're in Michigan is Toronto. And then, down here basically in Kansas City or going all the way, to New York. So it's, or Boston, right? I mean, it's just what a huge void for all of the population around the, upper Midwest. But it's because FIFA does control it. They have the money. They're charging obnoxious prices. And luckily, I didn't have to pay that. I actually got tickets for below market value because I'm a sleuth when it comes to looking for stuff like that. And I got a buddy who lives here. So it just made it a really easy, get from that perspective because we know the game of the game. But, so I'm not one of those people that spent a lot, more than what was reasonable. But there are definitely a lot of people have been just snookered, and that's such a bummer.
Cam, what would you pay for decent seats to the World Cup final? And I don't know if it would matter who was playing, but let's say somehow Team USA made a miraculous run and got there. What kind of prices would we be looking at?
I mean, I can't imagine that those prices are going to be any less than $10,000 a ticket once you get to that thing. Now, a lot of people already have tickets available, so obviously, or have the tickets procured. So any ticket on the aftermarket is going to be so obnoxious, especially around New York City. I mean, heck, look at what was going on just in the NBA Finals with the Knicks, right, at Madison Square Garden. So imagine the world sport having the ability to have this destination in New York City and have it there, which is probably why they placed it there, so they can get top dollar. I'm not sure that I would pay any fee or any price other than close to a normal. That's just not the game I play.
Okay. All right. We know the game that Traction plays, and it's to help companies win with branding, with naming, with marketing plans, slogans, colors, everything that goes into that. And if you look at all of the uniforms of the teams that are in the knockout round of 32, is there one that you look at and you say, that is the most appealing, that's the one that is instantly recognizable? They really did it right.
Well, it's hard to argue with orange, right? Which is why I'm here in Kansas City, right? I've been a Netherlands fan. I've trained at their facility when I was 15 years old, over in the Netherlands. So it's like I kind of always been a Netherlands fan from afar, but clearly a U.S. soccer fan for sure. But this idea that the branding is really about differentiation, and the Ivory Coast has used orange before. I think South Africa might have used it beginning as well. The ORANGE or JE spelling. It's literally on their original crest from when they formed FIFA. So it's hard to argue with that in terms of something that's remarkable and stands out. And then the Orange Parade, that I participated in yesterday, had over 20,000 fans. It's the largest one they've ever done. It's 1974 was the first year that they did the full organized mass of the clans, or the fans fully clad, in that color. It started gaining media attention back, 50 years ago. And so it's just hard to argue that that's not the most recognizable when you consider what they've done as they travel the world and just take over these cities that they're playing in.
Even the colors have variations, Cam, subtle variations. I'm wearing an orange shirt, but it doesn't look quite as good as the Netherlands uniforms. Maybe it's the guys wearing it. But as I look at this shade of orange, how would you describe that? Because it's instantly recognizable.
Well, I think orange is orange, and again, there were 20,000 plus people, and I can't think of, other than seeing two people with the exact same jersey standing next to each other, there was just every varying shade. So it's not always about the exact shade. Even when you think about, McDonald's packaging, the paper wrapper versus plastic cup versus the styrofoam versus the cardboard versus the sign versus the logo on the door. There's different reflections. There's different material surfaces. There's different ink abilities to go into. None of those colors are always the same. What's important is the cohesiveness of the fact that this is how you use it, the scale in which you use it in proportion to other things. That's where the ownership of the colors come from. So that's what the Netherlands own, is just the big boldness of them being an all orange.
Are we going to see Netherlands in the World Cup semifinal?
Oh boy, people ask me all the time who's the favorite, and unfortunately, there's a few favorites. They did not look amazing last night, but also Tunisia was hungry, and it's like asking, oh gosh, did the U.S. lose last night? Their chances of winning are over. If you look at why they lost, or part of their losing was they got four guys that were sitting on yellows, did not end up getting a red card, which was great. So they were able to rest those guys. Guys that Pulisic needed to come in and play some minutes to kind of come back from his calf strain. He got those 30 minutes in, and boy, he looked electric. And I don't know that the loss last night was a big deal. I don't think it changed anything about it. So it's hard to tell in these group stages. It's about getting through and testing what your lineups are working, and you come away with the points and you advance. The real magic starts in a couple days, right? That's really when you'll start to see where the real magic is at.
U.S., the first two victories, very convincing. Last night, losing in the final second, I thought that was an incredible goal by Turkey with the nutmeg and then pass all the way across, and then a great finish. I actually felt good for Turkey. I wouldn't have hated to go back there after three losses, but for the U.S. now, what is the next step? Is it reasonable to assume that they're going to win one match, that they can get to the 8? Well, what makes it successful from this point on?
Well, we don't know what comes after this round, right? There's still so many variables to happen to figure out. But, Bosnia-Herzegovina game, they should win, but, that old adage is why you play the game. At this point, they're down to what's effectively moved after the first round of the NCAA tournament. You kind of throw the seeds out, and people just play. So, soccer is one of those sports, or it is the sport. You can play your best 90 minutes and lose 1-0, or play your worst 90 minutes and win 1-0, and that's always been the case.
Yeah.
And what we saw last night here in Kansas City, it was pouring rain all day, insane. The conditions were really soft when it was raining in the game. Tunisia scored, and so inclement weather levels the playing field a little bit more. The hunger, the later you get, how you're prepared, who's ready to step up. You don't know what's going to happen in any freak injury. This sport is. I know it's not supposed to be a physical sport, you know what I mean, like tackling in football, but it's pretty darn physical. So you never know what's going to happen at any given moment, and sometimes your dog gets hurt or is off. And look at Messi, had a game where he just kind of looked off, but it's hard to argue he's still not the best player in the world right now. So I don't know.
Cam, have big fun in Kansas City. I've been there enough to know that that's easy to do, and we'll see you when you get back.
Great time.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. Appreciate the chance.
We're going to stay right here, Rob. And in studio, our guest every Friday, he is our closer for the week. Talk about Jay Green, proud Flintstone. We just had Connor Eargood on talking about Flint, another Flint native, about Flint, Coney Islands, and about everything that's associated with that city. Jay, of course, is our director of fashion on this show. Going casual today. You want to describe your outfit for those who are not watching us on YouTube? I had a message that says, "What's Jay wearing today?" You want to describe this? You got a different Sparty on your cap.
Yeah, I got the Gruff Sparty on my hat. Just a long sleeve Spartan shirt, gray shirt.
The standard Spartan logo on the chest, right? But you have your Nike logo. You do not have an MSU FCU patch.
No, I don't.
They're not sponsoring you.
No, not at all. Not at all. I wouldn't mind if they sponsor me, but they're not as of right now. So
negotiations underway as we speak.
Always.
For our tour we're going to do, right? If MSU FCU wants to be part of that,
yes,
we will talk with them.
If you know anyone there who wants to sponsor our road show, let us know.
All right. What about Michigan State and its road show now, trying to find new leadership? Need a president. Guess there's still some indication that, there's a hope for a 11th hour change of heart, that Kevin Guskowitz could be back. Certainly Tom Izzo working as hard as anyone could, trying to get him to stay as president of Michigan State. He's already said that he thinks he could be the best president of all time. And when you have John Hanna, one of the top 3 higher education leaders in history from your school, that's saying a lot. And now Jay Batt is at the University of Kentucky. He's actually still loitering around here. I don't know why he's still here. But he is going to be the CEO of Champions Blue and athletic director. So they put that fundraising title first, right? And then in his spare time, he'll be the director of athletics. But Michigan State going to need interims, it appears, for both of those positions while they look for a full-time president. And then I'm guessing that president will be picking the athletic director he wants. It's going to have to come in sequence. You can't just say, well, we're going to hire a full-time athletic director now. I suppose you could, but it might be futile. So where do you think this process is going, and how long is this going to take?
Jack, that's one of those things that's way above my pay grade. It's a lot that I don't understand about it. I keep hearing that it's possible that the president may come back, and I think that if that happens, I think that it might solve a lot, because then you can hire an athletic director a whole lot sooner, and you don't have to wait or even really think about getting an interim. So if that's a possibility, I think that from what it sounds like, that might be the best way to fix this problem.
It would be
to bring him back and then just hit the ground running.
But it would take some things to happen. It's not easy, not likely. I said that it would be the best recruiting job of Tom Izzo's career if he could do that.
Yeah, so that it must be an uphill battle, but I know that coach is still fighting to try to keep him here. So we'll see. You know, he's won a lot of recruiting battles over the years, so maybe he can win this one too.
So I'm used to having a conversation late at night with Tom Izzo, and all of a sudden he'll say, "Oh, wait a minute, I'll call you back." I know that he's getting a call from a recruit or something else urgent, and then I'd go back to the back of the line, right? I know how that works. But the other night, he was driving, and we were just having a conversation. It was a pretty positive conversation, as those things go. And all of a sudden, he starts talking to someone else. I'm thinking, like, he didn't have somebody else in the car. He's rolled down his window, and he's talking to someone who's walking in his neighborhood. Turns out it's Kevin Guskiewicz. So he says, "I'll call you back." And he did. But he's kind of talking to me, and then he's talking to the president out the window. So that was a first.
No, and I wouldn't have felt offended if I had been pushed to the back of that line. You know, that kind of takes priority over probably anything that, we would have been discussing. So, again, he's taking every opportunity, it seems like, to try to convince him to stay. I don't know what that's going to look like, but, again, I just feel like if that's the case, that will help fix a lot. You know, we got the new university year starting next week on July 1st. So you got the Spartan Ventures supposed to start July 1st. So I think, again, if that can happen, it might be the best way to fix these problems right now.
Maybe J-Bat wants to stick around for the first days of Spartan Ventures. Maybe.
I guess for me, what I don't understand is if you took a job somewhere else, why would you still want to be around here? I wouldn't even feel comfortable, but that's this Jay.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah,
all Jays are not created equal, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly.
Do you think it has something to do with money in the contract?
Oh, you think? How about follow the money, Rob?
How about it?
Well, that's always the answer, follow the money. But yeah, that would just be very weird to me to stick around a place that I said I didn't want to be anymore and took a new job, but yet you still flirting around with the old job. So
yeah, and J-Bat here 12 and a half months. I mean, I would like to see him take a test on campus geography. I bet you he'd flunk. Now, Kevin Guskiewicz, a little bit longer, 26 months plus. But he has said that, and it's all negotiated, that he's going to be here a little longer to be sure Michigan State is in a stable situation as it begins his search ostensibly before he moves on to Clemson. But he's already been to Clemson and he's got an orange tie. So we know, what his intent was when he left. But if you are thinking about successors in either of these jobs, you've been around Michigan State now for 36 years, right? So, and you've got green blood coursing through your veins as few do.
Yes.
So someone says to you, I don't need names, but I need a description of what this next president should be, what this next director of athletics needs to be. What's your description?
For the president, I really don't understand what the president does, so I can't really say about the president.
It's changed.
But as far as athletic director, I think that it needs to be, if it's not a Spartan, I think it needs to be somebody who understands Michigan State. I would say like a Pat Fitzgerald type as an athletic director,
right.
Somebody who
doesn't have to have been a Spartan letterman, but certainly
Exactly.
has to exemplify what Michigan State is.
And
right?
understand what the
culture.
history is,
Yes.
the culture, and everything else around here.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of first and foremost.
Yeah.
Then, after that, I feel like, you have to be relatable. Somebody who can go around and talk to people no matter who it is and
right.
and have conversations with people. I think it would be helpful if the person in that position is somebody who Spartan fans know and familiar with. I think that would
help.
Yes, I think that
especially in the AD position more than president.
Yes.
Both of these roles now, Jay, have evolved. Some would say morphed or shifted seismically But fundraising is so much more important than it was. There was a time, believe it or not, with John Hanna, when the state of Michigan was the primary source of funding for the university. My first quarter on campus, not semester, quarter, back in the quarter system days.
I remember that.
$15 a credit hour. $15. I went my first, and I had to work to get the money. Scholarships and part-time jobs and help from my mom, and $225 I had to pay for tuition, and I had to scrape to get it. So, now that's nothing. That's zero. So when you think about the state now paying a smaller and smaller share all the time, all the burdens on students and on private fundraising, that the president, as well as the director of athletics, have to be first and foremost a fundraiser.
Yes. No, I agree, because everything is about money now. You got the
transactional.
You got the NIL, which is a huge part of college sports now. Yeah. Just like I said, we starting. They launching Spartan Ventures next week, so that's huge. And I would say, especially the president, that would be first and foremost, is somebody who can raise money. But I feel like there are other things that go along with both positions that are essential. And again, one of those being people person, somebody that everybody can relate to, talk to. I think that's why one of the biggest reasons why Coach Izzo is so well liked around here, because people feel like they can.
Right, everybody knows him.
Exactly.
How many people in this area do you think have Tom Izzo's phone number?
In this area?
I can't believe the number of people who would tell you they're friends with Tom Izzo. No one can have that many friends.
No.
It's not possible.
No.
It depends on how you define friend.
And I think what you just said is very important, because I think everybody's definition of friend is kind of different depending on who you ask.
Yeah.
So, but as far as people that have his phone number in this area, I would guess probably not 100, maybe not even 50.
I would think a lot. I would think that and he gives it out. I mean, all the media members. There have been a lot of coaches around here, at Michigan and Michigan State, who've been around for a decade or more, and very few media members have their phone number. Jim Harbaugh, people who covered him every day that couldn't get a hold of him. That's not been true here in basketball, certainly, with Gus, Judd, and Tom. And Judd used to put his number in a phone book. I said to him one time, well, why do you put your number where everyone can get it? He said, no one calls me anyway. So, and football, not so much. People had Mark D'Antonio's number, a select group, but, and the other coaches, maybe not so much. Who actually gave his phone number out a lot, maybe more than he should have, as it turned out, was Mel Tucker. Oh. A lot of people had Mel Tucker's number. Look at that a couple different ways. But
no, I mean, and I think with Coach Izzo, again, that's just one of the parts of him being relatable and a people person, and feeling like I think that he really likes having conversations as opposed to doing stuff in the media, and he can just call and have conversations with people if he needs to.
Right. So when you think about Michigan State's leadership now, Jay, I've said several times, this will be the 16th and 17th presidents I've worked with. This will be the 13th and 14th athletic directors and 14 head football coaches. There's no school in the country that can match that kind of turnover. But Dusty May, we haven't talked about this since he took the job.
Yes.
Dusty May leaving Ann Arbor for Dallas, and there are reasons for that. Some good reasons, some reasons that maybe we don't fully understand yet. But this will be his 22nd year in coaching. 22nd. So half as long as Tom has been at Michigan State. That's how long Dusty May has been anywhere in coaching. Mm-hmm. And 8 positions in 22 years. That is less than 3 years per position. Meanwhile, we got some guy who is heading toward a half century here.
Yeah, and I think it sounds like he had a progression, because I know he came to Michigan from a smaller school, and it sounds like he just kind of worked his way up the ladder, and then he got there, won a national championship within 2 years, which is really kind of unheard of. And I heard things just like you did. I think first and foremost is that he won a national championship, but it probably didn't feel like it to him because, you know, Michigan is a football school, and I think that they don't hide that or make no excuses for that.
Right.
And that's probably something that he felt and wanted to, you know, probably was. I had heard about him having problems with NIL money and different things, trying to, you know, keep that roster together. So there's no telling when money is involved, it can all go haywire. And I think that, I mean, he took a job where I feel like he can concentrate more on coaching because he has other people around to take care of the other things. And then those contracts are collectively bargained, so he ain't got to worry about, you know, year in and year out, who's going to be there and who won't be there.
You know, Izzo always says Michigan State is a football school, and he really wants it to be a football school more than any basketball coach I know. He does not want it to be we've seen basketball coaches and football coaches butt heads, right? They're all trying to be on top of the mountain. Tom really wants this to be the best football school it can be, and he understands that football is number one in terms of revenue, in terms of image, reputation, donations, applications. Your football success is very, very important, almost essential to that. And then comes basketball, and then the rest. Now, some of the rest are maybe higher than others, but there are only two sports here that can make money.
Right.
So, you know, but in terms of football here, what would it mean with the relationship that Tom Izzo and Pat Fitzgerald have, and Fitz wouldn't be here without Tom, if Michigan State could get it going again the same way it did when D'Antonio and Izzo were fighting for national championships?
I think it would mean everything, especially in this NIL era. You know, that when I remember when it was happening before, and if I remember correctly, the football team went to the college football playoff, and the basketball team went to the Final
That's
Four.
Right, same year, 2015, just 11 years ago.
Yes, and they really don't get any bigger than that. I remember the basketball team traveling to the Big Ten championship game to watch the football team
That's right.
play.
That's right.
So I think that it would be great, and I think that that's kind of what Coach understands, and that's why he wants football to be the main thing, because he understands that what this place can be if football is where football needs to be.
So how much harder will it be for football to get back to that level now when Mark was running the program and they beat Michigan 7 times in 8 years, and they had that run of 40 wins and 5 losses in 45 games, things that seemed unimaginable at the time and maybe again to that level. But things happened. Michigan was down, way down during that period. Joe Paterno, chaos at Penn State. Ohio State went on probation, had to lose Jim Tressel, had an interim coach for a year before Urban Meyer came in. So there were some doors that were open, and Mark D'Antonio was able to knock them off the hinges, right? But now with name, image, and likeness, and with a pretty prescribed pecking order in terms of financial clout, here's one for you. Everyone talks about Greg and Dawn Williams and the gift to Michigan State of $401 million. Michigan's Board of Regents, we just had Tony Garcia on, Rob, from this board meeting. You know what they wound up with as Michigan's athletic budget for next year? Almost $300 million. That's 1 year. 1 year. So, that's completely dwarfs what a lot of other schools in the same conference would have, much less other schools out of the 136.
Yeah, but they're able to do that, and they've been doing it. Yeah. You know, that's not a surprise because they've been doing that for years.
No. And people talk about, how much money you have, and, you can look at how much money you have in escrow, how much money you have bankrolled elsewhere, and Michigan's is 4 times what a lot of schools in the Big Ten are.
No, and I want to say I think theirs is like up in the 20 millions, and ours is like 5, which is a huge difference.
That's right, and that 5 is a big number, right? You're talking about $5 billion, but when you're talking,
you put it next to 25.
That's right. Well, tell us a little bit about what you've got going this weekend. A lot of people like to follow. It's kind of like Where's Waldo? They want to know where Jay is.
Not much. I'll be on granddad duty.
Okay.
I got to go to Flint tomorrow I'm actually going to see a childhood friend that I haven't seen since elementary that I reconnected with. So I'm going to see him. While I'm there, I'm going to pick up 2 of my grandsons, bring them back, and we'll just see what happens from there.
Okay. Have you been on the senior graduation circuit?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. The open house tour.
Open house tour.
Yes. The open house tour. Yes. It has. I always be trying to figure out where all of these kids come from because I don't necessarily. I mean, I remember them, but they like grow so fast. And like one kid I found out was graduating, and I'm like, man, like it just seemed like he just went to high school and now he's graduating. So.
All right. If anyone can answer this question and help our listeners, it's probably you.
Okay.
Open houses fall into 2 categories. They're people you know very well, and you would be there under any circumstances. You'll probably be there for the duration or most of it. And then there are drop-ins, right? People you know, and you want to see them do well, and you want to salute them. You want to make an appearance. You want them to know you care. But it's not your whole day or weekend. What's the protocol there? How long do you stay? What do you do? Do you bring a gift? How does that work?
For me, they are all pretty much drop-ins because I don't want to commit to something that I know
outstay your welcome.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of, for me, I always felt like that's kind of what open houses are. Because you have people coming in and coming out, and it's like a revolving door. So I'll go.
So you're there an hour and a half, maybe?
Maybe an hour. Depending, an hour at the most, depending on who it is.
Okay.
But if
do you try to eat at every one a little something? No, you don't eat. You don't eat.
No, it depends. So a couple of weeks ago, I had 3 in one day, and I ate, I think, at the first one, and the second, the other 2, which. Actually, I feel like when you eat, that has you there longer. So that's another way of cutting down your time if you don't eat. Because I feel like all they really care about is that you bring a gift and that you come. So,
does it matter to you how many people you know are going to be there, other than the person who you are saluting?
No, it's all about the person who I'm saluting to me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I feel comfortable around anybody. So. That really don't matter to me. But it's more about the person who we celebrating.
Yeah. So the comfort factor, you are about as comfortable in your own skin as anyone I know. Tom Izzo actually did a commercial for Dove Care for Men, right? I was actually over at his house asking questions for that commercial that they did. But you seem like, you're you. You're not going to change for anybody. That's not good enough, so be it. You're very aware of who you are.
Yes, very. That's always been a thing with me because I feel like people can lead you astray if they want to. But I've always been comfortable who I am, and I actually like who I am. So I think that's a bigger part of it is I actually like who I am.
A lot of people don't like who they are.
Yes.
Right. Thanks for coming in, as always.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next week, I just want to let you know, because people who are appointment listening, right, you're used to hearing Jay Green to start your weekend. We are not going to have a show, Rob, next Friday, right? Is that the plan?
That is the plan.
Okay, and then Rob will be hosting the first 4 days of the following week. I will be back on Friday the 10th, but Rob will be hosting on the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, but we're not going to have the show next Friday, and Jay will be here next Thursday.
That I will.
Right? So we're going to end the week with Jay on Thursday, and Jim Stark's going to have to find another time.
And I'll pop in while you're not here and check on Rob to make sure he's not doing anything he shouldn't be doing.
Well, I don't know if we'll go that far.
You better get here early, Jay.
I want to thank all of our guests today and all the people who are with us all week. Julius Avent, freshman forward for Michigan State basketball. People loved seeing him last night at Moneyball, part of this 4-player freshman class, and with Anton Bonk, 5 newcomers. You're going to love what you see from Julius on and off the court. Named for Dr. J, Julius Erving. Connor Eargood of the Detroit News, reporting live from the NHL Draft, covers Michigan State extensively. Paul Shaheen, part of our hockey panel, is our Chicago Bureau Chief. Cameron Ganas from the World Cup in Kansas City, and Jay Green. Have a great weekend. See you Sunday on Press Pass.